What's the best way to go from one of these to one of these? That's coming right up, so let's get into it. My name is Trent Robinson and I am a flight examiner, flight instructor and head of operations up here in Darwin in the Northern Territory. And today we are going to go through setting up Oz Runway's instrument approach plates. For those of you that have moved from paper charts to digital charts, or EFB, electronic flight bag as it's known, you may have found that where you could formally sort of annotate your charts and tag and write notes and things on there, moving to your iPad now, you're a little bit more limited in what you can actually do there. But rest assured, there is a path and a way through this, and that's what we're going to go through today. So feel free to follow through with me with your iPad if you like. Now this works in pretty much all of the EFP software options. I'm using Oz Runways, but you can also do this in Avplan, in Core Flight, and whatever else comes out as well, Garmin Pilot, etc. So if we just go to aerodrome plates, and it doesn't matter again which one we use here. So we've got the Darwin plate here, and you may be unfamiliar or just trying to remember where you're going to go. Once you get your clearance, we can just use this plate just to draw a little line on it. Now we can either do this with our fingers, or you can use something like an Apple Pencil. So up the top right hand corner here, we've got our pencil mark, and we've got blue, orange or yellow, and we can simply say that we're here in the Northern GA and draw a line down Victor 1 down past our passing bay. And then depending on which runway we're going, if we were going to take off on runway 11, we would typically come straight ahead here to Victor 2, or alternatively we would go to Echo 2 for a departure, which means we need to make a left-hand turn past the fire station, down along the apron and to the holding point there. All right, so that's just a real simple way just to help keep an eye on ourselves. If you've got a 4G enabled iPad with GPS, you will then obviously better just follow your taxi line. So it's a bit of a poor man's safe taxi that you can get on the Garmin items. All right, once we've done that, we might have a SID. So again, I've just selected the Darwin SID here. Could be any SID at all. And once we've been given our clearance, we might get a runway 29. So again, we can just really simply highlight runway 29 just so we don't look at the wrong bit. And there's our comms failure at the bottom. Once we get a clearance, we might even be able to add the right-hand turn and our heading when we're sitting on the runway and we've got our final departure outbound course. So again, really, really simple. All right, let's look at something a little bit more useful. So here's the Avalon ILS, and this one we can see that we've just got a straight in approach from the hold at Temple, and we've also got no circling. You might want to make that stand out a little bit more. So again, get your pencils, color it in, and you might even choose to just put a bit down the side there as well, just to highlight which way you got to go. If you are going to be circling, you could either do a break off like that, or of course you might come all the way around back on the final. Whatever your actual clearances, don't do all of these obviously, but just the one that you're going to need just to help prompt you and remind you so you don't turn the wrong way. All right, what about an RNAV approach? So there's a few things that we can do here. So this is the RNAV approach into Port Keats up here in the Territory. And what I want to focus on first of all is our holding pattern. What a lot of people struggle with is something very simple, and that's just adding 30 degrees to the reciprocal of the inbound track on the holding side for their Sector 2 entry. Now, there's a few little tricks that we can use here to help us out. So first of all, we've got the pencil. So we could work it out that way. So we've got 158 as the reciprocal. We want to be going greater than that because it's 30 degrees. We want to add 30 degrees onto it. So we could write 188 onto there, and that would sort that out. However, we can do it a little bit neater. Up here, we've got our cogwheel, and you can see we've got here annotations. So if we click on annotations, add annotations, we can put in and my keyboard's not working, 188, apologies. And you can see here this little 188 comes up in the top left-hand corner. So we can grab that, click and drag and pop it right there. And that way your Sector 2 entry is calculated every time you come back to this plate. Simple trick, but it will make your life so much easier. All right, what else can we do? Well, we might be coming in on the approach, and we might have the QNH. As you can see, this one has an AWIS, which you can phone up or get on the radio, usually if it's working. And we can just annotate the QNH 1008, just for example. And we might have a wind coming from the northeast. Let's just say it's 030 at 15. All right, so again, we've got that there, just helping us out on whereabouts our wind and QNH is to remind us so we use the right minima. If we're coming down for a circling approach, obviously then we can keep, if it's a TAF, we can keep our 930 feet, or the LNAV approach is 880. If we've got the AWIS, and we can take 100 feet off. Now, you don't want to necessarily annotate this every single time, but again, if you know that you've got the AWIS there, you should be able to get your 100-foot discount. So again, we can go annotations and select add annotation. Now we want 880 less 100, so that can be 780. So we can just go 780, done. Now this one comes up the top corner. So again, click, drag, and you can just put that there as a reminder. You can obviously do the opposite of this, that if it was a area QNH destination, you could just cross out the 880 and put 880 plus 50. So you can make it 930. And if you wanted to cross it out, you could use your pen. If you like to be a bit more of a neat freak, you can put some dashes in. Oh, that's underlines. Where's dashes gone? Okay. And just cross out that so you're not going to use it. All right, you can put slashes, crosses. If you don't like that, it's not obvious enough, you can color it in as well. All right, there we go. So there we can add those permanent changes, or relatively permanent changes. Same thing with this one. If you're going to come in for a circling approach, we would change it to 830 or 980, depending on what QNH source you're using. And if we were going to break off, we could also draw our expected circling approach to get around the other end. So just some nice, simple tips. Other things you might want to do, you can put a little marker there for your top of descent and annotate it, just again to help remind you so you don't miss it. We've also got a highlight function here as well. So you might want to just highlight various bits and pieces on here, just to show where the top of descent point is. All the things that you would normally do on your paper charts. Again, don't want to get carried away and get too crazy with it, but they're all just really simple annotations that you can do to help your orientation and situational awareness. Final thing we can do is select our cogwheel here again, and we can also go show circling area. So if you haven't seen that, we can select Cat B or C or A, depending on what aircraft you're in. And you'll see there it's put a nice circling area around based on our 2 runway thresholds. All right. If we have a look at Darwin, we can go to any approach, and you can see that circling area is a little bit more funny shape because it's got the cross runways there. So it will cater that in. One thing to be mindful of, however, this is based on the runway thresholds, not necessarily their suitability for use. So, for example, this runway here is runway 3618, and it is not lit. So that circling area will change from what's currently depicted in the nighttime versus day. Okay. So there's some tips. I hope that's helped you out. Please like and subscribe for heaps more content that's going to be coming your way. Also, you can join me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or pretty much any other podcast player and search for Flight Training Australia podcast. We'll be there. Episodes are out every Monday and go through all sorts of useful aviation tips and tricks, from learning to fly, ab initio, right through to commercial, instrument instructor, getting jobs, the whole lot. It's all there. So come on over and join me. Until then, we'll see you next time.